All right, let's talk about simulation theory for a moment. Simulation theory is one that I agree with and disagree with, and here's why. Uh, I agree. Well, first of all, the concept of simulation theory, for those who don't know, simulation theory is this idea that the reality we live in is a simulation of some super, super advanced technology, and we're just experiencing life in that technology just as you would playing. It's like we are the characters of a video game that we have created. Only something created a video game, and we are the characters of that video game. Above us, God, the universe, spirit, whatever you want to call it. And there is uh, philosophical there are philosophical ideas around this. There are like scientific concepts too that help, and I don't want to say prove it because it I, I don't agree that it's a proven thing. Um, it has ideas and data and things backing it up, but is not entirely a proven concept type of thing. I agree with it in the sense of everything we do is a simulation. Our senses simulate the experience of the environment around us. Like when we see light, we don't actually see the light. We see the light seconds, nanoseconds, however long it is later than it. And our senses simulate what that experience is like. We create things. We create video games. We create all kinds of stuff. We write books. We simulate things in books with written word. It's just not visual. It's not interactive. Um, we do simulations of all kinds of different things to test and all this stuff with specifically technology. And here's part of the problem with simulation theory. I don't like the word simulation. That's a personal thing that I have. The word simulation is not a word that is applicable and um, advanced enough to describe the idea of something simulating the universe, because the word simulation means we have this concept of video games, computers, the technology of our day. We need a new label because something created us, and something you could say is simulating us. If you knew the exact way that, so say, let's just say the Big Bang is real, or however the universe started. If you knew the exact way everything started, you could simulate reality. You could create a simulation of reality. You could know every choice. You could then create other realities and know, because this person took this choice, that's going to be the simulation based on that choice, and we're going to do another one and have them take this choice and that simulate that, and that's where you get different realities, different timelines, all that other stuff. Hopefully I'm not confusing people, because I don't know if I speak well on this with the concepts in my human mind, spirit, and my guides give me the overall concepts, but there aren't the words to describe what I'm talking about that humans would understand. And that's the hard part, because what I can say is simulation is the wrong word for simulation theory of something creating this universe and doing all this other stuff with it. But one of the things I wanted to talk about with this, so somebody asked me about parallel realities. Parallel realities, you could essentially say, are part of this idea of simulation. If you have a choice, and I don't believe, my feeling is that it's not every choice and every little minute detail of life that creates a parallel reality. It's things that have a cascade effect. Some things don't have a cascade effect. Some things have such a small ripple that it doesn't change anything. Some things have a much larger ripple. And those choices that have a much larger ripple create other realities, other timelines. Because in one of the things to remember is when we talk about choices, choice does not necessarily mean a major choice in your life that you feel is a major choice. It could simply be the decision between eating a white bread sandwich and a wheat bread sandwich, or a raw vegan salad. Like, there could be something in that choice that is so detrimental to your journey that it creates enormous ripples. A very small, innocent, seemingly minute detail in our lives as choosing what to eat. So a lot of the choices, the butterfly effect. Butterfly flaps its wings and ripples across the world, type of thing. When you come to a point where you have a choice, you say, I'm going to choose, and let's just use career, for example, because this is a big one. You go to college and you're down to the wire and you're like, what's my major? You want to choose marine biology, art, or computer science. Those are all extremely different realities. Marine biology, art, computer science. If you choose computer science, that becomes your reality. You go through school learning about computers. The other two realities exist. Another version of yourself chooses art. Another version of yourself chooses marine biology. They create parallel realities. They create parallel time, like other timelines, other versions of yourself. I had a friend I knew who saw another version of herself who, through choices, her sister wasn't born. I've seen versions of myself in parallel realities where somehow I'm incarnated in that reality, but I'm not actually me. Like, physically, I'm different. All because of choices. Your energy still exists in those realities, but your energy in those realities exists in a way based on the choice that you made. So you might be a successful computer programmer in this life. You might be a super successful artist. You might be a super successful marine biologist. But if you're a marine biologist, your reality is the ocean, or a laboratory, or a marine park. If you're an artist, your reality is probably sitting behind a desk or an easel or sitting in nature drawing. If you're a computer programmer, your reality is a sitting behind a computer. They all exist. They're all there. But because you made a choice, a split occurs. And that's kind of the idea behind simulation too. Simulation is simulating that word that we use in our computer technology, simulating versions of reality. So it knows at the choice point if this choice is a major ripple or a minor ripple. And anything that is a major ripple creates an entirely different version of reality, because it's such a major ripple that it changes your life and the trajectory and how it looks in that reality. Now, we could get into time, because all of this stuff plays into timelines, time travel, all that type of thing. I have a workshop on that. You can see it on YouTube. That's like an hour and a half long or something. But when it comes down to parallel realities, it's just that every reality is based on kind of the idea. If you took simulation and said, well, at the beginning of each choice, we have a new reality, we have a new life, that becomes a parallel reality. They exist beside each other. We don't see them. We don't know they exist. It's like if you had 5 computers running together and a question box came up and said, what choice do you want to make? And there are video games like that now where they come up and they give you like 5 choices and you make choice 1 and it changes the entire video game. So you have 5 computers running and you go, choose A, choose B, choose C, choose D, choose E, on each of the separate computers, and then they continue running. And then for each choice, you go, okay, well, that one made this choice this time, that one made this choice, so let's give them different choices. And that's the different realities, the computers beside each other. And you could say, in a sense, they are networked together in a way, connected together in a way that at some point the simulations can talk to each other. So parallel realities, when we become conscious, and again, I'm just going to say there are plenty of people out there more versed in this than I am from a human verbal speech level, but when you become conscious, you have the ability to jump and experience those other realities. For some reason, they're putting Wreck-It Ralph in my mind. If you've seen Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet, it's like the video games from the 60s, 70s, 80s, all the arcade games get hooked up to the internet, and then all the characters can cross over to the internet and go visit the modern digital world. It's the same thing. It's the same idea. There's a mechanism through quantum physics, through whatever it is. I'm not sure. I don't understand the science of it, but there's some sort of mechanism that when you wake consciously, you're able to see into and jump into those other realities and experience them and see them, because there's a gateway, a portal, and energy that allows that to happen. So hopefully that helps with some of you in the parallel reality thing, the simulation thing. One thing I wanted to say though too is a lot of people, there's a lot of stuff on social media. Use your heart, feel with the, use your discernment, but understand that a lot of the things people promote as proof of something is not proof of something at all. And especially, this is why I don't like the word simulation and how it's used, and especially on social media, because younger generations are trying to prove simulation theory because reality is reflecting video games and things when that's not the proof of simulation theory. Just because there are enormous pieces of land with the same building there over and over, or that the neighborhood has purchased, that most of the people in the neighborhood purchased the same car. Those aren't proofs of simulation theory. What those are proofs of are exactly what I grew up watching. What I grew up watching was when people bought homes when I was young, you used to go to an architect, you used to buy an existing home that was already unique, or you went to an architect and you built a home and designed it, the architect built it. And then this thing happened where people realized they could buy enormous pieces of land, they could design one house and build the same exact house, the same exact property, the same exact thing over and over and over again to save money. And then you have HOAs and all that other stuff. So everything looks the same in the end. And then you have the human psychological factor of people want to match and fit in. So then you get some of these places where you drive around, you're like, wow, this neighborhood, like, there's a lot of people here with some of the same stuff. The cars are kind of the same, or if they're not the same, maybe they're just a different brand, but they look the same. A lot of, high-end SUVs or something like that. That's not proof of simulation theory. That's proof that people have decided to start doing things cheaply and expensively to pull as much energy out of other people as possible. One of the other things I saw was performance artists and YouTubers, people who are on the streets filming, and then performance artists and people saying, oh, we're in a simulation because they're, doing performance art. That's not a simulation. People have been doing that for a long time. Be careful of the ways that you try to prove to others that something exists, especially when you're younger and don't have the experience of living in a time where the internet didn't exist. I had rotary phones in my house. I lived in the country. We had rotary phones. If you don't know what that is, it was a big box with a circle on it. And to make a phone call, you put your finger in a circle and you spun it, and you waited like 10 seconds for the spinner to go back, and then you spun it again to get the next number. There are a lot of reasons why the things people are trying to use to prove simulation theory exist. And it's a reflection of money and greed, and it's a reflection of the way that society has been brought up, the way that children have been brought up, in the idea that our video games reflect our reality. So people build video games like reality, and you see a lot of stuff in the video games that are in reality because they are our reality. Um, it does not necessarily prove, it's just a reflection of our existence as humans, that the things that we create in Hollywood, in video games, and all that are kind of like what we experience in our real world. And there's a lot of that stuff that I see where people will be like, and this is, again, this is why I don't like the word simulation, where people will see something and go, we're living in a simulation because of this. And I go, well, I can't, and I don't like ageism. I'm not trying to be ageist or anything like that. I know there's stuff I don't understand because my grandparents grew up before computers existed. And it's this idea of always remembering in our reality, there's usually a reason why something is happening. And it does not mean simulating in the sense of just things are being dropped in to reality over and over because it's a computer doing it. It's not a computer doing it. It's people. We did it. We did it ourselves. We're the co-creators. We did it by creating with homes, by creating prefabricated homes that are a fraction of the cost that developers can buy in bulk and buy a huge piece of land, and that people will pay overpriced housing payments for. We created that through the industries over time, and they took advantage of it. They took advantage of just making people the same. And if you make people the same, it goes back to you can control people, you can manipulate, you can shift their perspectives, that type of thing. So remember that as you're reading into this stuff, that not all this stuff is actually proof behind the idea, and it just doesn't just apply to simulation theory. There's a lot of stuff I've seen that people try to apply to different ideas that isn't actually a proof of the idea. It's just the way their perception is, the way their perception has been molded from a life living in a technological world, or like my grandparents were molded by a non-technological World War II mentality. I was molded by, 1980s, 1990s, big box computers type of thing, like MS-DOS type stuff. And now kids today are molded by smartphones and things we never even imagined as when we had the initial computers, kids having today. So your perception is molded by what you experience, but that also doesn't mean that something that's the same over and over, or that because a performance artist is acting like a robot or able to do that, or that because people are able to do different things, that is a proof. That is just a proof of the experience they're having. And that's it. And the thing that always comes back to me is simulation is the wrong word for what we're experiencing in this universe. It's just the wrong word. And it's the wrong word because it all comes back and ties to technology and those types of things. And it's far beyond that. It's far, the way my guides say is, it's far beyond the mental capacity for the human brain to understand, is what it comes down to. So in the end, it doesn't even matter, because really for a lot of people waking up, they want to delve into what is reality. And I understand that, because you wake up, you got to figure out, you got to break free of everything. So what are the different types of reality? Simulation isn't the only type of reality that could exist. Far other types of versions of reality. And I talk about some of them in my books and stuff. But simulation theory is one that people grab onto, and they grab onto it and they hold on to it so strongly. And holding on to those ideas and concepts will shift your perception of reality. So let it be. Understand what it is. Understand that kind of the idea, the core concept, the overall energy and idea of what these different realities people are talking about are. But also understand that in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter. It does not affect your experience. Knowing or not knowing if we are in a simulation, or if we are in some purgatory, or in a, hooked up like the Matrix, or in, I don't know, nothing else is coming to mind, but it does not ultimately matter, because your experience is just what you're experiencing, and you're meant to experience the now moment and not let that stuff pull you down or pull your focus away. Flat Earth is another one, and I'm not going to go into that this video, but the idea of the shape of the Earth, whether it's flat or not, it's another one I find a lot of clients get involved with, and they've even said it's like they get pulled down, they get frustrated, they want to understand it so badly, and the truth of it, and it distracts you from your purpose, your path, your journey, your experience in the now moment, your joy, your healing. It distracts you from all that. All of these ideas distract you. All you are meant to do is experience the now, experience your journey, heal yourself, understand some of these ideas, understand there's more out there to the experience, understand that type of thing. But you don't need to have a yes no answer, because ultimately it doesn't matter. None of it matters. It only matters what happens now. So hopefully that helps some of you out there. I love you all. Thank you for watching. Oh, and don't forget, if you are somebody who's interested in galactics and all those other beings, check out awakenwithwillow.com. You can support this work with spirit art readings, oracle cards, and other types of services, one-on-one sessions, books, other things that I offer. Thank you, everyone. I love you all.